This is a continuation in my near-death experience series. This is part 4, and this is recognition of the second angel I encountered in the emergency room or the hospital after my near-death experience. So, as I was given a room in the hospital, I was taken to a ward, and it was nighttime at this stage, and everyone was asleep, including myself. The orderly rolled my bed to a ward, and I was put into a curtained room with 3 other women. At this stage, I of course woke up and was kind of curious as to where I was and what was going on around me, and there was nothing to see. It was nighttime, everyone had their curtains drawn and were sleeping, and so I was in my own space, and now wide awake. And a sense of vulnerability came over me, an awareness started to happen. Although the euphoria was still very much a part of my experience, there was this story that started to creep into my mind, and this recognition that I had just killed myself started to set in. All of a sudden, all the numb, depressed emotions were able to be felt, because for months before this, the depression was doing all of the talking. And in the shedding of that depression, I was now very much conscious of the emotions behind what my actions had just caused. Here I am, middle of the night, in a strange hospital room. Had no family or anyone there. My partner at the time was home with my son and his children, and that's where he needed to be. And there was just this feeling of being like a newborn child with all these emotions and thoughts and feelings and dead people, and just this explosion of energy inside of me that I didn't know what to do with. So as I sat there in my bed feeling all of this, I began to cry. Wasn't any feeling of sadness for myself. It was more of what had I done to these people I love in my life? Wow, for the first time I was feeling what they would feel. My family, my partner at the time, my son, all of my friends who would experience the fact that I just tried to kill myself. And I did kill myself. There was this knowing that there was going to be pain for other people in this. And it was the first time that I really was with that knowing. So as I sat in my bed and just gently allowed these feelings to come out, I started to hear movement in the room. And next to me, to my right, because I was on the end and I had windows on the other side, to my immediate right was another bed behind a curtain, and this is angel number 2. There was this horrific sound coming from this curtain. I can't even begin to describe it. It was as if someone was literally, and I apologize for the graphic TMI comment, but I'm just going to share so that you really understand what I was experiencing. Someone was literally choking on their own fluids. It was like a horrific pneumonia was in the lungs, and you could hear this liquid moving and being stuck, and this person literally choking on it. I didn't know what to do with that, and all of my emotions at this stage, I wasn't grossed out. I was in this complete empathy state where part of me wanted to pull the curtain back and make sure they were okay, and yet an awareness that that would have been inappropriate. So I decided to get out of bed, and I wandered with my blanket down to a visitor room that was, of course, vacant at this time of the night. And I sat on the couch, and at this stage, my whole body just began to tremor and shiver, and nerves kicked in, and certainly the drugs in my body were wreaking havoc as well and wanting to detox out. I don't know how long I sat in there crying, and a nurse finally came down the hall to ask if I was okay and needed anything. And I asked her where I was, because I still didn't know where I was. And she said, well, sweetie, the hospital's full tonight, and they waited a while to get you a room, and you are in the infectious disease ward. So they take someone who's committed suicide, you have to laugh, and put them in a room with patients who have infectious diseases. I asked her then, and the woman to my right, which of course she couldn't tell me, confidentiality and all that. She said, I assure you, we've put you in a room where no one is contagious. So, with that, she asked me to get back to bed, and I did. As I went down the hall and climbed back into my bed, I knew there was not going to be any more sleep for that night, and by this time, you could see the light coming through the window. As people began to awake and pull their curtains back, the mind has already made up all kinds of assumptions about what's going to be seen behind the curtain, right? You're hearing all these sounds, and I had already made up my mind that this person that was choking to death was someone elderly and very sick. Not sure why, but that's what my mind said. As the curtains are pulled back, I look to my right, and there I see the most precious, tiny, petite little Asian girl. She must have been 18, 19 years old. Bless her heart. She had cystic fibrosis. This was her life experience, in and out of hospitals, dealing with this, treatments and breathing things and tubes. And as I sat back into my bed, just really feeling for her, I saw this little body get out of her bed and walk over to the window and look out. She put her hands on the railing next to the window and kind of pushed herself up like she was trying to lean out the window. I'll never get that image out of my head. Like, this has been her life experience, hospitals. And as she turned around to go back to her bed, she very slowly paused at the end of my bed and looked right into my eyes, and she very faintly said, I see you. Oh, I still get chills when I talk about it. She then went and climbed back into her own bed. What does one do with that? There I am being that. There I am being that young girl. There was never a me and a her. There were never two. And in that instant, just for a very brief second, I was reminded of that again. There's yet one more angel in the same story, in the same room, and I'll share that in another video because I'm close to my time again. As the day opened up, food began arriving, doctors visiting. The emotional energy of all that was going on was very heightened. But just that flicker of reminder to remember that you never know what the experience of the person next to you is. The mind will make all kinds of judgments and stories. It'll elaborate, it'll fill in. You know, the curtain's drawn all the time between us and life. But it's not a real curtain, it's a veil of the mind, deceiving and perceiving and constructing, and it's never true. That adorable, sweet little Asian woman who got out of her bed and stretched towards the window was never sick. She was never all that icky, horrible sadness I was hearing in her. Beautiful. What a gift. What a gift to know. So I will go ahead and wrap this up and record the final segment of my near-death experience, meeting Angel 3. Thanks for following me on this journey.